let's talk about the event coming up. We have the haunting at Witch Hill.
So Essex Heritage is hosting a house party, and they are using the former home of the gentleman, railroad tycoon T.W. Peirce. And previously that property had been home to a number of other prominent people. Benjamin Crown and Shield from Salem, the family moved out there. And also back in the 1600s, Mary Eastey's son, Isaac Eastey, was living on that property as well. And when Mary Eastey was accused of witchcraft, she was hiding in the basement of that house when they came to take her.
So Catherine and I do tours in Salem together, and we do the Myths and Misconceptions tour. So when it comes to the myths related to the 1692 witch trials, what would you say are some of the biggest myths?
I mean, one of the biggest myths I think that people have, especially coming to Salem, is that everything froze in time.
Yeah.
That everything is just there, and they expect to see every little house and things, and they forget that things have moved on, and the witch trials was such a short time period in Salem's history. It was 9 months, and so to think that everything just sort of froze in time is really, kind of funny to think. But I'm always trying to remind people, like, well, time moved on and things changed, and so it is a little difficult for people to understand sometimes because they hear so much about it and then show up and it's not what they expect.
I get a lot on my tours. People want to know where the gallows
that
was
especially.
in Salem. So do we know where the gallows is?
I mean, there are historians that are doing research today. Until I see proof, I'm not really convinced. But they are doing a lot of research about the general area, but so much of the landscape, again, has changed that it is really hard to sort of pinpoint exactly where that area might be.
Well, the local legend, or like the thing is we've known for years, and it's behind a Walgreens, actually, where it's called Proctor's Ledge. And that's where they supposedly pinpointed it. But as you and I both know, that's probably not a sexy location.
No.
Not behind a Walgreens. But, so speaking of Salem, like because you live in Salem, like what are some of the things, like advice to people coming to Salem for Halloween? What would you recommend?
Definitely don't drive in. Take the train.
Take your broom, maybe.
Yeah, maybe fly in. That's the best idea. It is very difficult, getting around, but I think, prepare that you are going to wait in line for a lot of things, and, just make sure that you have enough money. There's a lot of things to do.
I think in Salem, my recommendation is to go not on Halloween. Go
exactly.
the week before, go the weeks before. I'm giving a tour called the Salem Curse Tour. Go to the Gardner Pingree house, which is where Captain Joseph White was murdered, and that's like a 1800s era crime, and that's kind of my garb is 1800s era, so that's interesting. And then we're also going to talk about things in addition to the Salem Witch Trials. I'm so excited to actually focus on something other than what happened in 1692.
Yes.
So it's kind of exciting. All right, so in regards to getting tickets for the Topsfield events.
Yes, you can order them online through the Essex Heritage website. That's www.essexheritage.org, and we have a link to there. You can also order your tickets at the Salem Visitor Center in Salem. We're at 2 New Liberty Street, so you can go right in there and order your tickets right there with me.
All right, so any other insider information regarding Salem? Like if you were coming from out of town, what would you recommend to them?
I mean, I would just say definitely walking around, seeing the sights. Wear a costume. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of times where you see adults in costumes and they go all out. So that's really the best advice, is definitely just enjoy, have fun.
So speaking of costume, what era is your costume
Well,
from?
technically this is sort of a mix. I'm wearing mostly Revolutionary style. I make a lot of my own clothes. I'm a Revolutionary War reenactor.
Ooh.
But it's sort of, it looks a little bit similar to what a lot of the Puritans would have worn, They did wear colors and things. People always think they wore all black and brown, but they did wear some colors, definitely covering the hat, the hair. Very typical of the time period. I probably will be wearing this for the event, even though it's not period appropriate. But
well, when I first saw Catherine, I thought you were Bridget Bishop. Because Bridget Bishop actually was known. She was the first woman to be executed and the only one to be executed by herself. So what are your thoughts on Bridget Bishop specifically? We kind of bonded on Bridget.
Yeah, definitely. She was definitely an outsider, I think, from the perspectives, reading about her. Everyone always makes her out to be this young, sexy, buxom woman, but she was actually an older, in her almost 50s woman. And she wasn't really fitting into the Puritan ideals at the time, dressing above her station. The Puritans were very strict about certain colors. You could wear colors, but purple and red were reserved for wealthy people. And so Bridget Bishop was always known for wearing red, and she was sort of a middle-class woman, so that might have been what got people upset about her, dressing like that. So I think that might have been a lot of the reason why she sort of stood out, especially in Salem, especially when there were rules about what colors you could wear for your stations, and people had gotten arrested for things like that, especially over in Saugus when they had the ironworks. There was all sorts of records from the ironworks of people being brought into court for wearing the wrong style of clothing, the wrong colors for their class.
Well, one of the things, like when I was giving ghost tours, and there's a reason why I don't give ghost tours in Salem anymore. I was giving a tour, I was in front of the Lyceum, which is supposedly where her apple orchard was. Well, I was told that that's where her tavern was. And as someone who talks about the myths and misconceptions, she wasn't the tavern owner, that was Sarah Bishop. And so Bridget Bishop's often confused with Sarah Bishop. And so I say it was her tavern, and then an apple mysteriously rolls out of the Lyceum area from the corner. And I'm mortified. And I feel like that Bridget Bishop was telling me that this was not her tavern, this was her apple orchard. So, Bridget, hopefully you will not haunt me when I give my cursed tour in Salem. But thank you so much, Catherine. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.